Good morning, Ma'am Kaislyn.
Yes, good morning po.
Opo. So nawala po kami kasi nawalan po ng kuryente dito sa NEDA.
Sige po. Sige, hintayin na lang po natin then pumasok yung iba.
Okay, sige po. Actually kanina, Ma'am,
Ay, ma'am. Oo.
sa math, konti lang din na nag-attend.
Mm.
Mula sa 26 sila, 26, 28 pa gano'n.
May mga nasa waiting room din kasi pa. Ay, ma'am Jo, confirm ko pala, may session ba tayo sa 17? Di ba po parang na-announce siya as holiday?
Yes, wala po, Ma'am.
Wala.
Wala tayo, na-move yun po.
I-move na lang siya. Okay po, sige ma'am. Thank
Opo.
you.
Naging na po, instead 'di ba po ang original na exam nila is Friday sa 28, magiging klase na po siya.
At tas Monday po yung exam na
Yes,
next
exam
class.
post-test.
Okay, sige po ma'am.
Thank you po.
Okay po. All right, I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so can I get some react so that I know that you can hear me? Okay, thank you everyone and welcome to your SBP session for English. Okay, so my name is Kaislyn Morada and I will be facilitating our sessions on your English review, specifically for language. Okay, so I'm from the Department of Arts and Communication from the College of Arts and Sciences here in UP Manila. Now, the SBP for English is divided into two parts, which are language and reading. So for the first half of the SBP, we're going to review concepts in language. And then for the second half, you are going to be talking about different reading strategies, and another instructor, another professor from the same department will be handling the review sessions. So from day 1 to day 5, this will all be for language. And of course, we're going to have it via Zoom. And then for the rest of the sessions, that will focus on reading. Okay? So as you can see here, it's a final column. So you have the different topics that we're going to cover for our review session. So we're going to start with the basic, of course, which is grammar, and then build up on that, going to vocabulary, sentences, paragraphs. And then, of course, so that is also somehow synchronized with your reading lessons, which has also to do, or which have to do with different reading strategies that, of course, would make use of your language knowledge. Okay. Now, I know that for many of us today, you, we might already be using some type of AI tool to help us with our grammar checking, for example, or even with writing in general. And so perhaps there are some students who might think, what good is it for me, right? To learn grammar or to learn communication or English in general. So meron po ba dito mga gumagamit ng mga AI tools to help you in your grammar checking, to help you when you write? Gumagamit pa tayo ng mga AI tools for that? So perhaps also show of hand if merong mga gumagamit. Ilan na siguro sa mga common dito na yung mga Grammarly, Quillbot. And so why am I talking about this? Because before we move on to our discussion, we want to emphasize or highlight the importance of still learning the basic concepts of English, even when these tools are present, or even if you are already using all of these tools. So kayo ba, what do you think? Do you think that knowledge ng English, yung basic knowledge ng subject-verb agreement, at ang iba pang grammatical rules, do you think that they're still important to you, even when there are online tools that can help you with that? Okay. So una sa lahat, that's what I want to emphasize, because there are also students who might not appreciate anymore the learning, the study of English, precisely because there are tools online that can help them with that. However, please remember this, everyone, that AI tools sure have come a long way to help you correct grammar, to help you in writing, but they still do make a lot of mistakes. And aside from that, it takes away, diba, the humanness of whatever it is that you write. And so the best way to ensure that whatever tool you are using is right is, of course, to have a good grasp of the grammar rules to yourself. Keep in mind that all of these different grammar checkers or writing tools are best used as complementary rather than substitutes for grammatical learning. In fact, you can use them and learn yourself along the way, or you know the rules precisely, you're using it to fast track your progress, but at the same time, ikaw yung may alam, 'di ba? Kasi ikaw yung nagsusulat, kasi may konteksto yung pagsusulat mo, kasi may human element yung sinusulat mo, kasi gusto mo na hindi lang siya grammatical, but also contextually may laman siya. Okay, and so they can complement you as you write, but the writing itself, that should be on you. Dapat ikaw yung gumagawa nun. And you'll find yourself doing a lot of writing in the university. So I hope that the lessons for these English sessions will be helpful to you. All right? So the review sessions for English are designed in a way to encourage student participation. So if you don't want to open your microphone, that's okay. But please do engage using chat. We have, for our slides, we have questions. And then later on, we'll also have activities which you are to answer. And then we'll discuss also the answers afterwards as a form or as a way of reviewing the different grammatical concepts or the different concepts being discussed for the day. Okay? So before we talk about the grammatical rules, first, let's talk about the varieties of English. When we say varieties of English, this is something that I'd like to emphasize during the first day of classes, even during normal or during the start of the semester, because there are students who write, and when they write, ang tone and style na ginagamit nila, nadadala nila yung kanilang speaking tone and style sa writing. And while perhaps that can be acceptable in certain contexts, like if you're posting on social media, if you are preparing other types of written materials, like the ones that you're going to prepare in the academic setting, then of course, hindi pwede yung ganong klaseng tone and style of writing. Now, we do know that English is one of the most widely used languages in the world. We often use it for in different settings, like in business, in government, in media, in tourism, and of course, in our context, sa academe. Okay? However, English, as we know it, has many varieties which are known as dialects. Are you familiar with different varieties of English? So what comes to mind when you hear the word varieties of English? What reminds you of that term? Diba? Pag sinabing, may variety yung English language. Right? So there's a different selections or different types. For example, in terms of spelling alone, ayan, kunwari nag-spell ka ng color without a U, diba? Color, C-O-L-O-R, and then you also can spell it color with U, C-O-L-O-U-R, that's right. So varieties of English can include the different dialects to a certain extent of English. So you have, for example, the American English and the British English. Now, in terms of overall use, such as spelling, which variety of English do we commonly use here in the Philippines? For example, sa pag-spell natin ng theater, color, favor, right? So we use the American English. And that is something that we also have to take note of whenever we are writing, especially because spellings may have different variations depending on the type of English that you are using. Okay? Sometimes even words can also have certain variations. If you look at this very simple illustration, for example, you can see that the word for the same concept or for the same noun can differ depending on which variety of English you're using. Say, for example, an apartment in American English is more commonly known as a flat in British English, a cab. And then you have the taxi, a cookie, and a biscuit, etc., etc. So of course, since, again, writing is highly contextual, so meron siyang, di ba, ang pagsusulat, meron kang choices na ginagawa. And so even the variety of English alone can dictate your choices in writing. And then when we talk about English and variety of English, we also want to highlight the difference between standard and non-standard English. So when you say standard English, we are talking about the correct written version of English. Okay, so here we are talking about a widespread consensus, so to speak, an agreement about how sentences should be constructed, and this is for the purpose of, say, publication, academic communication, or even government broadcasting. So your grammar is more stable and uniform, and this is also the type of English we use in the academe. Okay, and then of course you also have the non-standard English, which is considered grammatically incorrect, but still understandable. It doesn't mean that you're using non-standard English na hindi na siya pwedeng gamitin. Everybody, to a certain extent, would also use non-standard English in our daily life, depending on the context and of course the company that we are keeping. So say you're just with your friends or relatives or loved ones. So hindi tayo masyadong conscious sa paggamit ng standard English. Now, what is a common form of standard English? That would be your slangs. Okay, so when you say slang, these are words that we still commonly hear, but they don't adhere to formal standard of English writing. So these are some of the words. And then, of course, you can think of many other different words that would fall under slang or informal or the non-standard variety of English. Okay? So again, For example, when I read student papers, some of the common terms that I see would be kinda. And the students actually do include that in their paper. Or cause as a shortened form of because. So do you ever do that? Do you shorten your words as well whenever you are writing? What other slang words can you think of? And today, di ba may mga internet slang din or internet speak na ginagamit, lalo na sa mga digital natives na katulad nyo. Can you think of any words that would fall under that, yung mga internet slang that a lot of young people nowadays would use? So, pwede rin yung mag-fall under sa non-standard English. Ayan, magandang example. Riz. Okay? Okay, mga parang acronyms. TYSM for thank you so much. Right. And then you have, ano yung sabihin ng Riz? R-I-Z-Z. LOL, right? You all, y'all. So again, you have all of these different words. And of course, when you are in the company of your friends or people of the same age, right? If you're posting online, di ba, on your social media platforms, then it's acceptable to use them. Kasi contextual naman lagi ang paggamit natin ng language. But of course, in certain settings, like in the academic setting, we might not want to use it. Okay? Low key. Ayan. So these are all of the different words. Riz is like charm. Okay. So yun, diba? Very interesting how language also evolves over time. Nakaroon tayo ng mga ganyang internet slang. Okay?
Pa yung charger daw ng dyan sa kwarto, ano daw yun? Ganun lang? Oo daw, ma. Bunutin daw, pwede na rin daw bunutin.
Alright. So, let's look at these examples. So this is how you can further differentiate between the standard and non-standard form of English. Take a look at this. I did it myself. Is that correct? Is it standard? Meaning it adheres to grammatical rules in English. Tama ba to? Okay, and then you have, okay, so I'll just show you all of the different examples. Okay. So itong mga non-standard English, normally saan natin siya nakikita? For example, you see this in songs, right? Sometimes you find certain structures in songs that do not really adhere to standard English. But then again, of course, they have the poetic license or the creative license for that. But of course, again, we follow certain standards whenever we are writing in the academic setting. So between the standard and the non-standard form, of course, we're going to have to use the standard form. Okay, take a look at these statements. Which of the statements adhere, or which of the following statements would be examples of standard English? Following grammatical structures. Is one standard? What do you think? Okay, number one is not standard English. What makes it non-standard? That would be the use of the slang, like in it. Okay. What about number two? I have gotten my prize. Is that standard? Yes, so this is standard English. Follows grammatical rule. What about number three? Okay, so number three is non-standard. Again, what makes it non-standard? The use of the slang. Again, if you speak in this manner, of course, given the particular context, if you are in a certain company, if you are posting for a particular reason, okay lang yun. It doesn't mean that we can't use the non-standard form of English. We just use it very specifically in certain contexts. What about number 4? I'm a proud UP student. Is that standard English? Yes, it follows grammatical rules. And 5, it don't break even. Is that standard? Okay, so this one is non-standard. So should be it doesn't. Now let's focus on the standard form of English. Okay, when you say standard, it can also be categorized further into 2, formal English and then informal. So technically it's something like formal standard English and informal standard English. Now, formal English is used in more professional settings. For example, in professional documents or in academic texts, like in a book, in a report, in a letter. Sometimes you also see it in, and of course, you also see it in different materials like books, pamphlets, etc., etc. So this is used in more formal contexts, while informal English is used in everyday conversation. So when you say formal English, this is also the type of standard English that we use for your for our academic paper writing. So whenever you write, whatever you write in your stay here in the university, make sure to always use the formal standard form of English. So when you say formal standard form, this means that you are not only adhering to grammar, but you are also making sure to keep your tone and style formal. So take a look at this example. What can you notice? Okay, so you have the formal and informal variations. Right. So for formal, for example, we don't use contractions. That is correct. This is also another common mistake committed by students. Sometimes they would prepare an academic paper, tapos ang dami-daming contractions. Isn't, couldn't. Okay, and sometimes also even your choice of words can dictate whether you are using formal or informal English. That's why we're also tackling vocabulary. Okay, so contractions, please take note of that. And here, what about for the first one? I feel really good is a grammatical version, is the grammatical version as opposed to I feel real good. Kasi ito yung merong adverb, di ba? Describing the adjective. Yung parang pag tinanong ka, how are you feeling today? Tapos sagot mo, I feel good, which is accepted but technically not standard, as opposed to saying, I feel well, because well is an adjective that could describe the feeling. Diba? So that's the type of English that you need to use in the academic setting. So take a look at these statements. So which of these statements are formal or informal? So what about number 1? Is it something that you can use in an academic paper? Can we use that in an academic paper? Yes, we can. So say you are writing a research paper and you want to recommend that further research be done on the subject. What about number 2? Is it formal or informal? Okay, number 2 is informal. And let me just emphasize the idea that we don't start our sentence with a conjunction similar to this example. Marami ring mga students na nagsusulat na nagsisimula sa end o kaya naman nagsisimula sa but. Pero mas may mga tamang transitional words or transition words na pwede tayong gamitin in lieu of fusing conjunctions such as and but. So technically, we don't really use and but to start our sentences. In a formal academic paper, of course, again, in a different context, say you're writing a fiction, you're writing a fictional story, or you're writing poetry, you're writing a song, again, acceptable to. So talagang contextual nga ang pagsusulat. And this is something that you as the writer will have to determine, diba? What are you writing for? What is it going to be used for? What is the tone and style that you're going to employ in writing? What about the third one? The experiment was performed. Is this something you can include in an academic paper? Okay, yes, di ba? Pwede natin siyang gamitin. In an academic paper, it is formal. Okay? So pwede mo siyang gamitin for an academic paper. Dito lang, anong klaseng sentence to? Di ba? What is being highlighted here, di ba? In-highlight lang yung action instead of the doer of the action. Note number 4, anyways, the war is won. This is informal. Okay. And even to a certain extent, not just informal, but this can also be considered non-standard English. Bakit siya non-standard? Because we don't really have a word in English na may S yung anyways. Diba? Ano lang siya, expression ng mga tao. Mahilig tayo magdagdag ng S sa mga words na hindi naman dapat dinadagdagan ng S. Katulad ng anyways. Ano pa yung mga alam yung ganong words? That we often add an S to, but they should not have an S at all. Either ways, gumagamit ng either way. Stuff, for example, most people would say stuffs kasi pararamihin nila. I have a lot of stuffs to do. Okay. What other words can you think of na unnecessarily nilalagyan natin ng S? So you have words like anyways, stuffs, data. Yeah, we don't really say datas. Although sometimes it has become quite common also to use the term datas. Words like, say, equipment. But we don't put an S to the word equipment. Or staff, for example, we don't say staffs. We don't say equipments. Okay, so those are some words we don't really put information. Advice, what about the word advice? So we don't say, I'm going to give you advices. We say pieces of advice. For example, what else can you think of? Words that you don't really put an S to, but again, we unnecessarily include an S for such words. So again, those are all furniture, correct? Those are also words. So these are words that we need to be careful about whenever we are using them in a sentence. Okay? Kasi ang iba dito ay collective naman na siya in nature. So hindi na kailangan ng S to show na marami ng isang bagay. And then finally, you have number 5. Thanks are extended to the staff at the hospital. So what about this one? Can this be considered formal? Is this something you can write in a more formal setting? Can you say that? Thanks are extended to the staff at the hospital. What do you think? Is it formal or informal? Okay. This is actually already formal. Formal in the sense that you are adhering to grammatical structure. There are no unnecessary words or slangs. There are no contractions. There are no errors in terms of the presentation. Perhaps some of you may think that it can be made more formal. Yes, somebody suggested, why not use gratitude? So, pwede naman yun, di ba? Gratitude is extended to the staff of the hospital. So that can also be used, which makes it just a little bit more formal. So in terms diction-wise, mas formal pa siya. But technically, this is already formal. Depending again sa context. Either gamitin mo to, or pwede mong palitan also the word thanks. Depending on the context or depending on your usage of the sentence. Okay, but again, you're adhering to grammatical rules already. Okay? So look at this statement. Is this something you can use in an academic setting? What are some of the structures here na iisipin mo, can I use it in my academic paper? Can we use it in an academic paper? Okay, so no. Somebody mentioned, so here you have the word yeah, diba? We can't use that in an academic paper. What else? What other structures? What other elements? Para masabi mo na hindi natin siya magagamit. Number 5, and it could talk, right? So you're beginning your sentence with a conjunction. Them. Okay, so here you can see, instead of saying them, M na lang siya, parang EM na lang, diba? Using conjunction to start a sentence. So as pointed out earlier, so ayan, and then instead of spelling out the word in its entirety, so you have words like telling, okay, yelling, okay, and then of course you have here contractions also, instead of saying they would. Okay, and then contractions in spelling. Again, in fiction, in poetry writing, in certain contexts, these are all okay to use, but in the academic setting, we cannot really use that. What about this one? Does it seem like something that you can use in an academic paper? Right. Diba? So makikita natin, it employs the rules of grammar. So meron pa siyang APA citations, which I think you are familiar with, diba? Are you familiar with different citation format? So here, for example, this is APA format. Okay, and then you have the different grammatical rules at work in this particular example. Okay? So, after establishing na merong certain variety ng English na ginagamit natin for our ACAD paper, let's review the different parts of speech. Of course, our grammar review is not going to be very, very extensive because we only have today for that. So let's just go over some of the basic rules for each of our parts of speech. And then after that, let's have an activity, and then let's further review the different rules using the different items of that particular activity. All right, so can anyone remember their parts of speech? Ano nga ang iyong mga parts of speech? Ito, di ba grade school pa lang, so baka sawa na kayo. Pero technically kasi nagsisimula naman ang grammar sa parts of speech. Okay, so it's still necessary that we remember our different parts of speech. Right, so you've all said it. You have nouns and pronouns. And then adverbs, adjectives, conjunctions, correct. Okay. So overall, these are the 8 parts of speech in the English language, which are, as you've mentioned, the nouns, the adjectives, the adverbs, and the conjunction. Then you also have the pronouns, the verb, the preposition, And uh, of course, you also have the interjection. Okay. Now, the part of speech, why is it necessary to learn? It's because it indicates or it allows us to tell how the word functions in meaning as well as grammatically within the sentence. So knowing that this is a noun allows you to use it in a particular manner and to use certain grammatical structure in order to properly use the word. So an individual word can function as more than one part of speech when used in different circumstances. So understanding the part of speech is essential for determining the correct definition of a word. Also, when using different words, or sorry, when using the same word that can fall under the different parts of speech. Can you think of a word that depending on the usage, yung part of speech niyang category nagbabago? Can you think of a word like that? Meron ba tayong mga may mga may mga alam ba tayong words na depending on the usage, depending on the context of the of usage, nagbabago yung kanyang part of speech category? Right. Well, that's correct. Can be a noun, as in well, where you can get water, diba? And an adjective also. Or actually, it's more of an adverb, diba? When you say, I am well, so it describes the action, or I do well. Okay. Say, for example, book. A book can be a noun, as in the book that you read, or you're booking for you're booking a ticket, or you're booking a hotel room, diba? Could be a verb. That's right. Swimming can be a gerund, but can also be a verb. Okay, so swimming is something that you're interested in. That's a gerund. And then you'd like to go swimming. Okay, so again, it's important to have an idea of what these words are and how they function in a sentence in order for us to write good sentences. So let's just go over quickly the different types or the different parts of speech, starting with a noun. Obviously, the noun, very, very basic. Di ba sinasabi natin na ang noun ay name of a person, place, thing, or idea. And there are many different types of nouns in the English language as shown. So again, we're just going to go over them quickly. The concrete noun, so that's why you have the common and the proper noun. Proper noun would be specific names, and then common nouns would be the more generic nouns. Then you have the abstract nouns, okay, the countable and uncountable nouns, collective, compound, possessive, regular, irregular. Yung regular and irregular, this has to do with how to pluralize the noun. So when you say regular plural nouns, you simply add an S, or change Y to I, then add ES. When you say irregular plural nouns, it has to do with change of spelling in order to form the plural form of the noun. Possessive nouns is to show possession, adding apostrophe S. What's your rule for possessive nouns? Where do you put the apostrophe depending on whether it's plural or singular? Say here, boys' ball. That tells you, is it singular or plural? Singular, tama. Pag plural, should be placed where? After the S. Correct. And then you have your compound nouns. Dito naman, one thing to remember is how to spell them correctly, for example, and how to pluralize them also correctly. So say, for example, you say, it's the gathering of the editor-in-chief. So you want to pluralize that because maraming editor-in-chief ang pupunta, or mother-in-law, or brother-in-law. So how do you create the plural form for that? Correct. So dun siya sa root word or dun siya sa main word, 'di ba? So editors-in-chief, mothers-in-law, brothers-in-law, etc. Correct. And then here you have the collective nouns. Dito naman ang aalalahanin natin is subject-verb agreement. For example, you have school, colony, class, bunch. So they're composed, 'di ba, ng iba't ibang entities. Tapos collective na sila. So ano ang ginagamit natin dito? Verb. To say the colony of ants, what verb will you use for that? Say basic verb, is or are. Right. So because it's considered to be a collective. But remember again, contextual yan ha, that is not always the case. So say for example, is jury a collective noun? Collective noun ba yung jury? Jury, sa Philippine setting, sa criminal, sa justice system natin, wala talaga tayong konsepto ng jury, di ba? Pero, ang jury, di ba? It's also a collective noun. It's composed of the jury members. Or say, gamitin na lang natin ay committee. What about committee? Is it a collective noun, committee? Is it collective? Di ba? It's composed of individual committee members. Now, is there a time when you can use a plural verb for a collective noun like committee? So normally we say the committee handles this particular activity. So you're using a singular verb for that. Handles, di ba, may S. But can we say, or can we ever use a plural verb for a collective noun? Can we do that? In what context? Anong context yung pwede mong gamitin yung plural verb for collective nouns? When do we use the plural verb? That's right. So if you are pertaining to the individual members, so somebody said, for example, when they are debating, you are pertaining to the different members, di ba? Yung composition ng committee. So somebody also said, if we are referring to the members individually, this is correct. So you say, for example, the committee are in disagreement. So kahit hindi mo sabihin yung word na members, implicitly stated na yon that you are actually referring to the members. So the committee are in disagreement over a particular matter. Diba? So that's your collective noun. Okay? And ito naman, countable and uncountable nouns, which from the word itself really just has to do with your ability to count the items or not. So say a pen, that's countable. Water that would be uncountable. One of the things also to remember here, for example, the terms few and less. Diba? Depending on whether it's countable or countable. So you can also determine the usage of your different modifiers. For example, what do you say? Do you have, this person has few friends? Tama ba yung few doon? Kailan mo naman gagamitin yung less? But you want less sugar in your coffee, diba? Less because sugar is considered uncountable in that sense. So you can't really count the grains of sugar that you're using. Now, whenever you use nouns in a sentence, of course, you are using articles as well. Indefinite articles are a and an. And then definite article would be the. So when you say indefinite article, definite and indefinite articles, it has to do with how we use them in a particular sentence and the doer of the action that we are referring to whenever we are using these different articles. Take a look at number 1 and 2. Which is more appropriate to use for number 1? A or the? Right. So you can see here how the use of the article alone can potentially change the meaning, di ba? Pag ginamitan mo siya ng he is a doctor in charge of internal medicine, this could be any doctor, right? But here in particular, you are referring to a very specific doctor in charge of a particular department in a particular hospital. So here you use the. Two, what is more appropriate to use here? He is a or he is the doctor of law. Right, he is a doctor of law. So why a doctor of law? Again, we're using an indefinite article. This can refer to any doctor of law. We're not talking about a very specific job or a very specific position. So even again, the usage of articles can already inherently impact, may impact siya doon sa contextual meaning of your sentence. Okay? Then of course, pronouns. What are pronouns? We use them to replace your noun. There are many different rules when it comes to pronouns. Of course, you have the first person, second person, etc., etc. But here, let's just review some of the common errors that we often encounter when using pronouns. Number one, what is the correct pronoun to use? This is a matter between you and okay, so there seems to be different answers from the class. Right. You and me. Why me? Why is me the correct answer here? Because this is an. Saan ginagamit ang me? Kapag siya ay? Anong tawag doon? Pag ganito yung formation, object siya. Diba? This is a matter between you and me. So when using, that's right. Kasi objective case siya. So gagamitan mo ng me. Pag subjective naman, yung you and I are going to change the world, for example. So yun. Kaya minsan may mga makikita kang kanta, diba, na iba-iba yung variation ng paggamit nila ng you and I and you and me. Pero doon mo rin makikita yung poetic license ng mga singers to do that. But technically, in English, may fina-follow tayong different structures in using our pronouns properly. So in this case, for example, it's you and me, object. Pag subject, gagamitin natin yung I. What about number 2? Angel is a student to? Right, to whom? Ito naman common phrase siya, to whom on sasabi na natin, to whom it may concern, but this is also objective case. Number 3, kabaliktaran ng number 1. So this one, ang tama ay correct. Subjective. Number 4, Paul and correct. So subjective case. So we have Paul and another subject. So in that case, we're using he. Kasi he rin yung subject form ng pronoun na ito. The two participating groups are that's right. So here you have yours and ours. May possession, diba? Possessive pronouns. Yours, grupo mo, at grupo ko. Okay? Now, in English, we have a rule. We call it the pronoun antecedent agreement. It has to do with the pronoun agreeing with the antecedent. The antecedent is the noun it is replacing in terms of number and gender. So that's why we know that, say, for example, if there is a name of a girl, we replace it with a she. Pag marami, we replace it with they or them, depending on the usage. Pag lalaki, he, kasi gendered, diba, ang ating pronouns. What about in cases like this? Neither the package nor the letters. So dito magkaiba yung number ng antecedent. The antecedent, again, ito yung noun na nire-replace ng pronoun. So what would be the pronoun to use here? Okay, so again, different answers from the students. There are only two, for now, let's limit the choices to it. representing package or theirs representing letters. So which will we use? Is it its or theirs? Theirs, sorry, hindi theirs, their. Neither the package nor the letters reach its destination or their destination. So what would be the correct answer? The correct answer is there. There na T-H-E-I-R. Okay, bakit there? In English, our rule for this one, because neither siya, you follow the number of the noun closest to the verb. In this case, you have letters. Letters is closest to the verb, which is reach. Kaya yun ang ipa-follow natin, pronoun. So, neither the package nor the letters reach their destination. So, technically, pag binaliktad mo siya, neither the letters nor the package, magbabago din yung pronoun. So, you say, neither the letters nor the package reach its destination. Okay? Yan ay dahil ginamit natin ang neither, applicable din ito, neither. Ginamit natin sa neither. Pero syempre, pag sinabi mong both, since magkasama siya, plural na yun. Plural lang ang gagamitin natin doon. What about this one? Collective noun. The jury gave. What would be the best pronoun to use here? Again, are we referring to the jury in its entirety? Are we referring? So look at the context of the statement. Are we referring to the jury collectively? So, collective siya, di ba? Kasi nagbibigay ng decision. So, one decision. So, gagamitin natin ay it's. Alright. What about the last one? Each of these ideas has, so dalawang options din lang yan, its or their own merit. So, what will you use? Sometimes, sentences like this can be a bit confusing because you see a plural form here of the word idea. Pero meron ka kasing, yan, tama kayo. So, meron ka kasing each dito. Minomodify niya yung idea. Each of these ideas has. So, ang original na noun mo talaga ay each. So, it's ang iyong gagamitin. So, let's be careful when we are replacing the noun or what we call also the antecedent. So, we need to be able to make sure na merong pronoun antecedent agreement. And then, of course, you have the verbs. Verbs are action words. They express action or being. In a sentence, there can be a main verb and sometimes one or more helping verbs. So when you say helping verbs, ito rin yung tinatawag nating linking verbs. And of course, a grammatical rule that we follow here would be ensuring that the verb agrees with its subject in terms of number. Okay? And then, of course, verbs also take different forms to express tenses. So this table here shows a summary of your different verb tenses. You have the past tense, the simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. So ito naman, I'm sure familiar na kayo. Past, pag regular verb siya, you simply add an ed. Pag irregular, of course, the spelling changes. And then here, past continuous, this is when something is still ongoing. For example, you say, I was eating when something happened. So usually use the ing form of the verb, the continuous form of the verb, then past perfect. Here you use the perfect tense. Say, for example, eat would be eaten. And then you have also the past perfect continuous where you say, I had been eating. I use it to express that it started in the past and continued until another time in the present. For present tenses, ito rin yung variation niya, and then for future tenses. Okay? So for present tense, you have the simple present tense. You are simply saying that it is happening now, I eat. Present continuous, again, you're using the continuous form of the verb, the progressive form of the verb, the ing form, I am eating. Present perfect tense, the action is complete or has ended and hence term perfect. So you say, I have eaten when something happened. Kumakain ka. present perfect continuous tense. I have been eating. So it has been taking some time. It has been taking place for some time, but still ongoing. And then for the future tense, so for the simple future, so this is when you plan or make a decision to do something. Nothing is said here when it comes to the time. So you simply say, I will eat. Future continuous tense. The future continuous tense is used to express action na gagawin mo at a particular moment in the future. So again, you use the progressive form of the verb. I will be eating by the time na mag-start ang ganitong show. Future perfect tense. Again, you use the participle. So I have eaten. I will have eaten before 10 a.m. I will have slept before you arrived, etc. And then, of course, you have the future perfect continuous tense. Here is used to talk about an ongoing action before some point in the future. So you say, I will have been eating for 30 minutes when you arrive. Of course, it's more complex to a certain extent to use the perfect tenses and the perfect continuous tenses. So it really has more to do with you being able to use properly the appropriate form of the verb. And then, of course, the basic rule, or at least the basic knowledge that we need to have for that, is to identify how to form the past tense of the verb. If it's regular, and then you change Y to I. You simply add an ED or D, or you change Y to I and then add ED, depending on the word. Or if not, then the spelling changes entirely. So these are the things that we need to be aware of. Of course, when it comes to verbs, one rule that we follow, like what was mentioned earlier, would be the subject-verb agreement. To put simply, the number of the verb should follow the number of the subject. So here are some rules that we often, or these are some cases that we often encounter where sometimes medyo nalilito tayo sa SVA. So here you have one, we say to use a singular verb for a singular idea. Say for example, 8 feet. There are 8 feet, in a sense, marami siya, plural siya. Kasi 8 na feet siya. Pero since you are pertaining to it as a singular idea, we still use a singular verb for that. Every and everything would always use a singular verb. Okay? Let's take a look at these items. 1 million pesos. What would be the correct answer to this? Right. Number one is. Again, we are referring to 1 million pesos as a singular idea. So we say is. Number two, the number of cars in EDSA is or are staggering. What would be the proper verb to use? Okay, so when you say the number of cars in EDSA, so the expression the number would be followed by a singular verb. On the other hand, the expression a number is followed by a plural verb. So you say the number of cars in EDSA is staggering. A number of students are in line to enroll in a particular subject, something like that. So again, the number of cars is, the number expression is, a number would be R. Okay, what about number 3? Leia, not her sisters. That's right. So this one is attending the party. So dito, ito meron lang tayong mga intervening clauses, but even in cases like this one, you always just go back to the original subject. What about number 4? Many students. That's right. So dito very straightforward naman, many. Then you have the plural form or a plural noun, students. So you have a plural verb as well, are. What about number 5? Little is or little are known about Shakespeare's personal life. Little is known. But what about when you use few? What verb do you use for few? Are, correct. So yun yung ano niya, little is known. Sabi nga natin, di ba, many are called but few are chosen. So little sugar in my coffee goes a long way. Or even less sugar in my coffee goes a long way. I have a few friends who are very reliable. Okay? What about number 6? All the fun are over after the party. That's right. So this one is over after the party because again, you are referring to, kahit may all ka pa dyan, basically you are just referring to fun as a singular idea. And then we differentiate between adjectives and adverbs. The adjective modify nouns and pronouns, while the adverbs modify verbs, other adjectives, and other verbs. In a sense, many of your adjectives would use the ly form, pero syempre may mga adjectives, may mga adverbs pala. May mga adverbs din na hindi ganun lagi yung case. But here in this example, which word would fit in the first sentence? He. Is it correct? Correctly? That's right. Correctly. So what is that? Is that an adverb or an adjective? So this one is an adverb because it modifies or describes. What does it describe? A verb, diba? So yung correctly dinidescribe na yung pagsagot. His answer sounded this one, correct. So bakit correct at bakit siya adjective? Dahil ang minamodify niya ay noun, answer. Okay? Sa pangalawa, the stillness of the night was awful. So here, that's an adjective because what it's describing would be stillness, which is a noun. The night was awfully still. So bakit awfully? Adverb na dinidescribe niya yung adjective. I am a very sensible person, correct? So bakit sensible? Ano yung dinidescribe niya? Person, that's a noun. So here you have or you have an adjective. And then I acted sensibly because you are describing, what are you describing? The action, the verb, yung pag-act. So that's why you have an adverb. And then, of course, you also have prepositions, which are words placed before a noun or pronoun to form a phrase. And in English, we have plenty of prepositions, such as by, about, with, on, and at, etc., etc. But here in this discussion, I would just like to focus on 3 of the most commonly used prepositions. And please take note of how we use them in writing. Think of these 3 prepositions in this particular manner, starting from in, followed by on and at. Kasi itong order na to, it also determines how general or how specific yung paggamit natin sa kanila. In terms of time and location, we use in for the most general item. So say, for example, use in terms of location for your country, city, neighborhood. So I live in Makati. We live in the Philippines. UP Manila is in UP Manila is in Manila, obviously. And then you have time. So for centuries, decades, years, you were born in 1995. The school year will start in August, for example. So in, for the most general. A little bit specific, you use on. For location, we use it for street or avenue. For example, UP Manila is on Padre Faura Street. And then for time, we use it to refer to days and weekends. Let's meet on Monday. Tomorrow, let's meet on Tuesday, or let's meet on the weekend, on Saturday, Sunday, etc. At would be the most specific. So for addresses, normally it's accompanied by a number, 32 Main Street. But if it's a specific location, for example, UP Manila students often go to Robinsons Manila. So you can tell your friends, let's have lunch at Robinsons Manila. And then, of course, for time, we use at for specific times. So say, let's meet, your classes start at 10 a.m. and will end at 12 noon. Okay? And then this one also is can be very useful since we're going to use references. You're going to use references also in academic writing. You use on for your electronic sources like the radio, internet, television, TV, etc. So if you notice, I keep on saying on social media because it's an electronic source of information, it's an electronic platform. You can say you spend so much time on Facebook. And then when it's a written material like a book or a magazine or a journal, then we use in. So I read it in the book. I read it in a book. I read it in a newspaper, as opposed to your electronic sources, which you will use on for. Okay, but again, in English, you have many other prepositions, but these are some of the more commonly used ones. And then finally, you have conjunctions. What are the two major two major categories of conjunctions? Can we recall? You have the yung grupo ng mga conjunctions. That's right, fanboys. Si fanboys ay anong klaseng conjunction? Coordinating conjunction, for and nor, but, or yet so. And then you have another type of conjunction. You have another group of conjunctions. What you call those? Right, subordinating conjunctions. We'll go over them when we talk about sentences. And then, of course, you have interjections. What are interjections? What are examples of words that are considered interjections? Ito yung mga words used to express emotion. Wala talaga tayong grammatical structure na pina-follow for them. But there are certain grammarians who would consider interjections also part of your as part of speech. So interjections are words like wow, ouch, oops, etc., etc. Okay? So, are you able to access Canvas at this point? Can I see reacts or if you're able to access Canvas for the activity? So please go to the English course. You should be able to see the activity for day 1. This is a grammar review. So I will give you 20 minutes to work on the activity. So can you check, please, if you're able to open it? Are you able to open it, everyone? Can I see a show of hand? All right. So all you have to do would be to answer the activity. And then let's be back here sa ating session by 11:35 so we can discuss the rule that you follow, the grammatical rules that you followed in order to answer the exercise. So again, 11:35, you should be done with the activity. So I will see you back here at 11:35. Okay, so please answer the exercise. A basic grammar quiz, yun pa lang yung activity doon na nakapublish. So you can annotate it. Pwede rin namang download the file, tapos you answer it sa inyong device, and then you can also just upload it. Pwede rin kayong mag-direct annotate, since mag-i-insert ka lang naman ng sagot doon sa mismong activity. So you should be able to see it doon sa English na portion ng inyong Canvas course for SBP. So that's for the day 1 activity, the basic grammar quiz. Yeah, kahit i-highlight nyo, walang problema. Basta for as long as you're able to identify the answer, no problem. All right, everyone, are you done? Can I see a show of hands if you're done? All right. So again, you can either annotate or the activity doon mismo sa Canvas, or there's also an option there to upload a file. But of course, before we end our session for today, let's go over the answers as a way as well to review the grammatical structure na ginamit sa mga sentences na ito. So again, I encourage your participation sa pagsagot ng ating grammar review activity. Okay, so let's take a look at number 1. Which letter? So for all of the items, you just have to choose the letter of the best answer. So for number 1, what letter? What is the best answer for 1? Letter. Mark and letter. Okay, so dito, wala namang pangalan. So hindi natin alam kung sino yung kasama ni Mark. But based on the different cases of pronouns here, so the best answer would be letter B, she. Ito lang kasi yung subjective dito na pronoun. What about number 2? What about number 2? What would be, so here you have the underlined word. If you would have looked at all of the options, you would have known that the first option is the best one. So dito, titignan natin kung ano yung best version. Is it if you would have looked? Or is it letter B, if you have looked? Is it letter C or D? Letter? All right, correct. If you had looked. Diba? Past siya. If you had looked. Number 3. Letter number 3. What letter is the correct answer? So everyone, again, to encourage participation, you don't have to open your mic. Just send your answers via the chat feature of Zoom. Okay, so number 3 would be letter C. I recently learned that the manager and coach, again, letter C, because you're just referring to one person. The manager and coach is the same person. And kailangan mo lang ay past tense was also the owner. So ito lang dito yung appropriate para sa konteksto ng sentence. And then, you're just referring to one person, and that person happens to be both the manager and coach. What about number 4? Number 4, the information you discover so useful that, so dito pronoun antecedent agreement, ito yung sinasabi natin, that there are certain words na collective siya, diba? So say information, that's why we use letter B, it. Correct. So number 5, deserving applicant will be contacted by either the hiring manager or look at the sentence. So dito, since you are given 4 options, medyo process of elimination na rin siya, di ba? Her, me, and him, lahat anong case to ng pronouns? Di ba lahat siya ay objective. The only difference here, the only different item here is letter A, which is I. And while perhaps malilito tayo kasi nasa dulo siya, but technically, anong klaseng sentence to? The deserving applicant will be contacted by either the hiring, where the doer, siya yung naging receiver ng action. Anong klaseng sentence yan? Ano yun? Passive, that's right. So, since passive sentence siya, punta sa dulo, yung doer ng action. But technically, si hiring manager or sila ay yung talagang gagawa ng action. Sila yung magko-contact kay deserving applicant. So for number 5, it's letter A. What about number 6? I blank of his latest adventure at Mayon Volcano. Letter. Letter. Right. So here you have to make sure that you're using the proper verb tense. So I. So you're going to eliminate A already kasi were siya. So dito was. But of course, you also have to take note yung collocation ng words. So dapat ang salitang ginagamit natin ay letter C, interested in and astounded by. Okay, because that's the proper usage of those words. Letter C. Number 7. School owners have begun to provide the health club facilities for their students because exercise builds stamina. So following the structure here, this is also what we call parallelism, diba? An extension of your subject-verb agreement. Dapat pare-pareho yung structure. Letter. So builds stamina, and then letter D, decreases tension, reduces absenteeism. Number 8, the memorandum being circulated. Ano yung tamang sagot? Number 8, the memorandum being circulated ay letter. What is memoranda? Is it plural or singular? Memoranda, is it plural or singular? Diba it's plural, the singular form being memorandum. Memoranda is plural, so therefore the answer is letter D. Show that you have a violation. Correct. Number 9, Harry. So what would be the verb to use here? Letter C. Open the window, please. Okay. Number 10. Michael has. So what is the term to use here? Michael has come down, letter B, with a terrible case of flu. Okay? So dito naman, proper word usage rin yung Michael has come down. Number 11, my partying friend tried to lead me. So what is the proper word or the proper word to use here? Letter B, astray. Okay, led me astray from my studies. Number 12, she's one of the students who, again, pag may structure tayong ganito, she is one of the students. We always go back to the original verb, she. So the best answer is letter B, has. With the principal today, diba? Present lang siya. 13, 75% of the bread my mother baked. So ano ba ang tamang sagot for number 13? 75%. Were, was, had served, had been served. Okay, so katulad dito sa example natin kanina about a similar example yung 8 feet. So, iniisip natin 75%, marami siya. Pero dito, ang pinaparting kasi natin, 75% of the bread. So, the portion of that bread. So, what would be the best verb to use here? That's right. Letter B, was served at last night's party. So, ito yung sinasabi natin that a singular idea has a singular verb. Number 14. Letter, relatives of my husband, correct? Letter C, to get over with the tragic death. So, proper use of prepositions. Here, preposition is with, and then yung over with, this is a collocation na sinasama natin doon sa with. Number 15, the dog bit Dina. So, ano dito yung proper na pairing of words? Letter. Okay, letter D. The dog bit Tina so hard, diba? So hard, yun yung magmo-modify dun sa hard, that she cried in pain. Number 16. The basic needs of people. Correct. So needs, simple subject-verb agreement should be followed by a plural form of the verb, letter A. Okay? Next, number 17. What is the answer for 17 ay? Okay, so nagsimula dati. Tapos, tuloy-tuloy hanggang ngayon. So, ang tamang sagot ay continuous, present continuous. It started at a time in the past and still continues until today. So, I have been writing. Next, I recently learned, number 18. What would be the answer for number 18? I recently learned that the manager. So what would be for 18? That I recently that the owner and manager of the restaurant. Letter. Okay, again, look at this. Similar example to the one before. The owner and manager. Is it the same person? It's the same person. If you want, now in writing, if you want to differentiate between two different people here, for example, it should be the owner and the manager. So when you use that structure, iniiba mo, iba si manager, iba si owner. Pero dito, when you say the owner and manager, ibig sabihin isang tao lang yon. So for number 18, the correct answer is letter A. Number 19. Could it be? So dito naman, ang gamit natin ay none. Could it be that none of the wanderers and out-of-school youth? So ano ang gagamitin natin for number 19? Letter A. Letter A ang gagamitin natin. Is responsible for this mess. A is. So dito, dahil ang gamit natin ay none, at the same time, yung youth, di ba ito ay collective din. So is yung gagamitin natin. Number 20, someone at last night's party left. Okay. So dito siguro iniisip natin, don't look at it from a politically correct perspective. We're using there as a more politically correct now pronoun here. But look at the context clue. Someone at last night party left. So what is most likely the gender given the type of clothing? That's right. So dito parang sometimes we tend to overthink our grammar rules as well, but this one's quite straightforward. So his coat and tie in the kitchen. Number 21, the news of the archaeological discovery was so significant that. So here you have the subject news. So yung news ay letter B. It pa rin siya. So, hindi lahat ng bagay na may S ay plural. So, news, it. Number 22, a migrant to the city, even though surrounded by people from all classes, social groups, and ethnic groups sometimes. Letter. For number 22, that would be letter. A migrant. Migrant ay singular. Diba? So, what is the best? Yeah, letter C, feels. What about number 22? Number 23, rather. Letter, correct. Letter B, whoever the professor recommended. So, whoever is a more emphatic version of who. So, may emphasis doon sa sino. Diba? Emphatic version siya. Number 24, I want to know. Number 24, I want to know, letter A, correct. Who you think should be eligible for the incentive. So we want to know who, and objective case naman siya. Number 25, preposition, the audience applauded. What preposition to use for number 25? Applauded. In the finale, correct. So the proper preposition to use is in the finale. In. Number 26, let's dispense preposition. Letter. Let's dispense with formalities. Letter B. Correct. Letter B. Number 27, in the park, a crumbling pavilion used for concerts. So what is the proper verb form to use here? Okay, evokes. Simplify. Simply, di ba? Crumbling pavilion ay singular, so evokes. 28, the University of the Philippines. Letter. Okay. Has been the best university for more than 100 years already. Kasi it started from the past, tapos it's still going on. They Okay, so here look at the formation of look at the way that the sentence structured. Meron kang main clause here, they blank from hunger, tas meron kang time clause. By the time the help of the government arrives. So which tense of the verb should be used? Correct. It's letter D. They will have died from hunger by the time the help of the government arrive. Okay, so ito yung gagamitin natin for this one. Kasi meron ka dito time clause, di ba, pertaining to the time condition. Then, for the last items, you just have to indicate may error ba? May error ba for number 30? Number 30, he will give the gift to whoever helps him with his schoolwork. Is there an error? Letter B. What should be? What should be to whomever helps him? Correct. Kasi ito ay subjective case. Siya yung subject ng action. Siya yung pagbibigyan ng regalo. The teacher, together with her students, attend a seminar in Palawan. So A, B, C, D, or E? Meron ba ditong error sa number 31? Is there an error? Letter? Okay, letter B. Dapat ay okay, pwedeng attended, pero kung simple, kung hindi mo siya gagawing past tense, pwede ring attends. Tama. So, ang point dito ay si teacher ang main na subject. May intervening clause lang na together with her students. I would like to further discuss this topic with you. Letter further should be, itong farther na to ay mali ang paggamit. Ito ay mas malayo. Kailangan further, mas mapapalalim. So, letter B. Number 33, is there an error? Me coming here to see you despite your anger is a sign of my loyalty and respect. So, kailangan formal. Accepted sa formal written English. Okay, so letter A. How will we change that? How will we correct the error? We can totally omit, di ba? Yung letter A, sabihin mo na lang na coming here to see you. And that is correct already. Number 34, one of the things I like about reading is that it allows me to explore different worlds. Is there an error? For number 34? No error. So, di ba? Yung phrase na one of the things, tas isang ginamit, it allows me to explore different worlds. So the structure in its entirety, it's correct. What about number 35 rather? The chocolate cake my grandmother made for my 18th birthday was the best dessert I have tasted in my life. Letter? Okay, letter D. Ano, di ba iba ang pagbasa nito? This is a dessert or to dessert somebody, to dessert your group, but we are looking for dessert as in the sweets, like cake in this instance, should be DESSERT. So again, going over exercises like this one can help improve our understanding or our recall of the different grammatical structures, which can be very beneficial for us pag tayo nagsusulat, and not just in writing but also in speaking, because of course you will also likely engage in many different speaking activities pag pumasok kayo ng university. So do you have any questions for today? Do you have any questions? Everyone? Okay, so that being said, I will see you tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. to 12. We'll continue our discussion. Pupunta naman tayo sa vocabulary building bukas. So thanks everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Bye everyone.
Thank you.